pretty simple life. Dad was in prison most of the time. I never knew my dad. He was in prison. My life was pretty good, I guess, and as a child, with your brothers, just playing around and joking around. Until, life really started hitting me at 5 years old, 6 years old, trying to figure out what life is about. My father did pass away when I was 5. And a lot of questions came to my mind, what's going on with this? Why is a person that I love dead? I don't know, then just all kinds of stuff started happening to me since then. Around 5, 6 years old as well, a family member chose to move on me and molest me sexually, and I think that started a lot of confusion in my life. I didn't know what was going on, was scared, didn't want to tell nobody. I think that was the start of my journey in life as a human, a real person living a life. I didn't know what it was, but it started anger. Anger grew up in me. And I think a drug called spray paint. I don't know if you guys ever heard about spray paint, but yeah, spray paint was my first drug that I was introduced on accident. I sprayed a can of paint in my closet as a kid, and I was high for the first time. And after this molestation of a family member, I noticed that those chemicals changed me, and I don't have to feel this way no more. I'm trying to, I don't know. So I grew up pretty, violent. I started off early stealing. It was fun for me. Those are the things I like to do, I guess, rebelling. Yeah, it was pretty bad. So, yes, the streets of California, that's where I grew up at. No role models except for the guys down the street, gang members. Those are my role models. I love to steal, I love to hurt people. At a young age, that was what I did. Sorry, I'm trying to collect my thoughts here. I just remember as a young age, I had a lot of anger because of this. I'm guessing it was because of this. No father, and having to deal with a family member who is, thought he could touch you and just get away with it. So, yeah, I led my life of destruction, not knowing what I was doing, drinking alcohol. Age 12, started drinking, started doing drugs. Did methamphetamines at 12 years old, smoked marijuana, drink alcohol, stole cars, beat people up randomly. But I think during all this time, not knowing that God was working in my life, He was trying to get a hold of me through people. I think that's how He works, through people. I just wasn't listening. I got real addicted to drugs and alcohol. By the age of 15, I was fed up with life and everybody in it. I didn't have no care for nobody. So I woke up one morning and just decided to take care of my life. And so I woke up one morning and put a gun to my head and shot myself. The Lord was great. He allowed me to live, and I believe that day He just sent angels my way and saved my life that day. That was just one attempt. There was many other attempts of suicide. Through drugs, mainly. I used drugs to the maximum. Whatever I could do, I put. needles in my arms. I drowned myself with alcohol. I just hated myself. I really hated myself, and I hated others. And I was real ugly. By the age of 18, I ended up stabbing a man about 30 times for no reason. Really, the reason was he said something wrong to me sexually, and I made a choice to stab this man, and I went to prison for 10 years. And in there too, didn't care about anybody there too. I stabbed another man inside prison. I noticed God was calling me out in prison. He was letting me know that this is not the way you're supposed to live your life. And so he introduced me to his word, which was the Holy Bible that I enjoyed reading while I was in there. And it really started opening up my eyes. And now I started to see a little better. I started to look around my surroundings, and everybody was just wicked. There was a lot of wickedness in there, and this is in prison in California. And he started to just open my eyes through his word. I spent about 2 years on a lockdown studying the Lord's word, and he just started shining. I started seeing the difference in my life and others that were not reading the word. If that makes any sense, I don't know, but I enjoyed reading his word, and I made promises to God. He said all these things, that what he promised in his Bible. So I would pray at night and ask the Lord to get me out of prison. I even prayed a prayer, said I'm not like these guys. I was wrong. I was just like them. But I did ask the Lord. I tell him, hey, I'm not like these people in here, and please get me out of here. I promise if you get me out of here, I will serve you. And I guess I didn't believe it at the moment, because I still went along and lived my life the way I wanted to inside the prison. And when I got out, which was amazingly, I got out. I don't know how I did it, but it was God that did it. Now I know. Yeah, he got me out, and I think he was now calling me out, saying, hey, remember what that promise you told me? But I still, as soon as I got out of prison, my lifestyle went back to where it left off, with drugs and alcohol and women, of course. And I just didn't know how to live life. I still had all this stuff that needed to get taken care of. I didn't know how to live by myself. I didn't know how to love. I didn't know how to do nothing. All I knew how to do was to get in trouble. That's all I knew how to do. I know how to make money fast. I know how to do crimes. Everything that God hates, I knew how to do pretty well. I don't know. I think God started putting people in my life, and they started caring for me and praying for me. And I think that's where it started for me. I think God was putting people in my life where he was saying, hey, look, there's people that really care about you, and not everybody's against you, and not everybody's out to get you or anything like that. So, I don't know. It just started little by little, as far as just like getting a job out there in the streets. I couldn't get a job until one day I walked into a place and just said, I need a job. And they looked at me and said, no way, we're not gonna give you a job. Just the way they're looking at me. And I walked with my head down, but God, I think God opened the person's heart and called me back and said, well, come back, I'll give you a chance. And I think that was one of the beginnings too. I just see God set it, and I'm sorry I can't speak very well, but the way God sets things up, he just started putting people in my life, and man, I can't explain it very well. But, so God moves, he sets it up He really had a plan for me from day one, but where I was gonna go, and I chose to live differently, so the things in my life they went wrong. Yeah, I didn't go God's will. Well, some of the people in my life after I got out of prison, I did about a year outside of prison, not just drinking alcohol. And then I decided that one day I needed to, well, I didn't have a place to live. I got off parole again, and I went to a halfway house where I spent 10 months, and I was clean and sober, and I was trying to do the right thing, going to meetings, and one day, these Christian fellows came into the house, and they were having Bible studies at my house, at that halfway house, which was a house of 20 people. And I think God caught my attention there because I poked my head in and I seen what they were doing, and I was interested in what they were doing inside that room, and I always wanted to be involved in that. There's something always hit me in my heart, like that should be right there. So little by little, these guys started befriending me. These were Seventh-day Adventists from the Granite Bay Church in California. So these guys befriended me. I started hanging out with these guys, and there was a church in Auburn, California, where I used to volunteer my time because I was bored, and I used to work in their garden, and they helped me out a lot. Just being out there with God's creation, his whatever he does, I don't know how he does. But it was great. So in this time, I was befriended by these Seventh-day Adventist guys, and I think whenever times got bad for me, that I could always count on somebody. God will always put people in my life. Yeah. One day, well, I did 10 years, not 10 years, excuse me, sorry. 10 years in prison, but I did a year clean and sober out there on the streets. Working hard, honest living. And one day I just went to a city where I was not supposed to be, and I went back to jail for me, it was no reason, and I decided when I got out of jail again, I went back to prison for 6 more months, and I decided that I wasn't gonna live this good life because it wasn't worth it, I worked hard, and at the end of the day, I had nothing to show for it, and I said, forget this stuff, I'm not gonna deal with this stuff. So I got out of prison, I hooked up with a friend of mine, and I decided that drugs was the way to go, and that's how I was gonna make my money, and that's how I was gonna make my living. And I sold heroin, and I had money in my pockets every day. I had everything I wanted. I had a girl, I had a house full of food and furniture, I had a car. Life was going pretty good, and I thought it was going pretty good. I guess that was the lie that Satan was telling me this whole time. And so God was reaching out to me still again, and he was telling me in the life of heroin and methamphetamines, what you see is a lot of hurt, a lot of pain, people dying in your house and ODing, and I think God was really trying to reach out to me and say, what are you doing, man? He told me that you're hurting my creation. You're hurting yourself, you're my creation, but now you're hurting others, and now we're gonna put a stop to this. And that's how he woke me up. He started waking me up because I started having a heart for people, and I don't know. Life went just spiraling down, and I got addicted to drugs, heroin. Pretty bad. Heroin and methamphetamines, that was my life. Street life was my life. Violence was my life. What happened? And then one night actually, after I think 4 years of just living on the streets and motels, whatever, everything I did, I don't know. There's a lot to it, I just can't explain it tonight. I'm trying to pick what I should share because I don't want to glorify the devil and none of this stuff. But one night I was in a Denny's. Some of you probably heard the story. And it was raining, I was cold, I was tired. I was in a motel with just a bunch of drug addicts and I didn't want to be there. And I was probably out of my mind. And I was sitting in a Denny's. And I said to myself, the next person that comes in here, that's it. I was just gonna take them out. There's anybody that came to me, that's where my mind was at. My mind was just like so gone that I was like, didn't care about anything no more. So you could say it was another suicide attempt because I was ready to go all out. And God came and intervened again. Some man happened to see me sitting down there and he came and stepped to me and he said hi. And I asked, who are you? And I asked him if he was the cops and he said no. And he told me that God sent him there to talk to me. And that was the night that I think I cried that night and this man prayed with me and he fed me and he clothed me. And I think that was one of the nights that I chose to, all right, God's real, and he took me out of that environment. God's real. He took me to a house. My friend, that at least Seventh-day Adventist guys, they were at this halfway house. I stood with these guys for about 30 days, worshiping, praying, and that's where I've learned how to pray. Really, these guys showed me. I ended up going to a treatment house. It was called Hope, Help, and Healing. This was a Christian-based program. I was doing great there, praying all day in my room, reading my Bible, going to Adventist church, going to Sunday church, and I thought life was pretty great until I went back home to visit my family and I started drinking again. And just one drink, that's all it takes is just one. I took a drink and that drink led to another drink and that drink led to another drink. And then it led to a needle in my arm again. And then just like that, I'm homeless again, I'm on the streets. So, I kind of know what I was doing, but at the same time, I'm like, all right, Lord, what's going on here, But God still didn't give up on me. He sent people. I was on the streets for about a week, and these Seventh-day Adventist guys come again, and they take me out with them camping and for 2 weeks, and then I find myself at another halfway house, and this time I decided I'm gonna stay clean and sober and get a job and live right, do it again. And I did, and I was clean and sober for probably about 6 more months. Discharged parole. But then I moved in with a girl, and I was free, and I started drinking again. And that drinking doesn't mix with me. And I started drinking again, and once I started drinking, I started putting needles back in my arm. And just destructiveness. I was trying to go to church and live my life at the same time. That didn't work out too well. So there was a lot of missed attendance at church. I was going through studies with an associate pastor at the Granite Bay Church, and we'll do meet up once a week. Sometimes I'll be high, sometimes I won't be high, sometimes I'll be drunk. But the guy never gave up on me. He taught me everything I was supposed to know about the Bible that I thought I was supposed to know. And then he told me, David, you know everything. You know a lot more than a lot of these people that go to church, but you need to make a decision. And I cannot hold your hand no more. That's what he said. And because I would cry to him every time I had a problem, you know, because of my own making. I would cry to him and like, David, you need to make a decision. And I thought I did. I thought I made decisions, but I didn't. And anyways, I keep living my life the way I did. It was just going downhill again. This relationship I was in didn't last very long. Drugs just ruined it. Moved back to my parents' house. I destroyed every relationship there, all my brothers, and I don't know. So I decided to come to Pendleton with a lady that I met on Facebook. She was a Seventh-day Adventist. So I thought life was going to be different up here. I was going to have a new start, but I found out it wasn't the place I went to. It was me that needed to change. So yeah, no matter where I went, I had to deal with this guy right here. And so yeah, I stayed with this lady for a while. I had a job, was going to church. Life seemed pretty good. And then I started drinking again. And then I started just hanging out with the friends, and then there I go again, needles in my arm, living in Pendleton, and just living a destructive life for about almost a year, in and out of jail. Finally, one day in Pendleton jail, I was in a jail cell, and I just finally gave up, and I asked the Lord, what do you want me to do? And I read the Bible and it said, the just shall live by faith, and just believe in me. And I heard that so many times, but I didn't understand it. I couldn't believe, I didn't get it. So this time I said, all right, Lord, I'm just gonna, whatever you say, I'm just gonna go with it. And I went with it. I was on trial. I mean, I was already gonna go to prison. I was signing up because I was like, all right, I'm gonna go to prison. I'm just gonna get off the streets and go live my life where I know how to live, the best I know how. During this 90 days in county jail in Pendleton, I decided to just trust in Jesus, and I did. I started reading my Bible, started having Bible studies inside the jail. And which is great because I never had a Bible study in jail before. But yeah, it started off with 2 of us, and then by the end of my 90 days in county jail, there was about a dozen of us praying and having Bible studies. The Lord told me not to go to prison. He told me to go fight my case, so I did. I chose to tear that deal up. That year I was going to go do in prison, and I took my case to trial. I believe God was working in that as well. He wanted me outside for some reason, I don't know why, but he did, and I beat the case. The Christian guy was handling he was the juror. I didn't want to leave jail. I wanted to stay there. I was comfortable there. Those of my friends were in there. I didn't want to go back to the streets. Actually, I almost cried because I had to leave jail. Anyways, I asked the Lord, all right, he gets me out. I had to leave the next day. All right, Lord, what do you want? I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I'm doing. You lead the way. And so, that faith thing. I live by faith. And yeah, I just started walking, and God just started, he was clearing the way for me already. He opened doors. There was a couple of people I knew out there that I could talk to. And so that's where God led me to this man's job. And as I was talking to him, telling the good news, that was happening in jail and all the good things that God was doing for me and for others in the jail. A friend of mine called and said that I could stay at another friend's house, which is just here today. Sherry and Ted, part of my testimony, they allowed me to stay at their house for a couple months, and during that time, I decided that I was gonna live a godly life, but don't get me wrong, I wasn't. I tried, but I'm not perfect. But I decided that I wanted to get baptized. I went to the SDA church in Pendleton. I was baptized, and my friends were here to witness that. And life was pretty good, but still Satan was trying to destroy me. I think from birth he was trying to destroy me, and he just put distractions in my way. Mostly women, I think. Women was my distractions. But yeah, I was doing pretty good for a while. And then, one day I got tempted and I drank again. And what happens next? I put a needle in my arm again. And then finally I just told the Lord, man, get me out of here. I need to get out of here. And I went to detox for 4 days. And the Lord sent me here to the nice town of Walla Walla. And I went to the Christian Aid Center over here. I met you guys here, a good neighbor. Well, at the Christian Aid Center, I did their year program over there, and that was a blessing as well. Longest I ever stood sober, I think, in my life.
What do you got, brother?
I got what?
How many years? Clean.
I don't got years.
You gave clean.
I tell you, like, I'm not perfect, and I still mess up, here and there. But this is a place where God sent me, Walla Walla. Sorry, I'm walking back and forth all the time. But yeah, the Good Neighbor Church it's been a home church for me, and people love on you over here, and I think this is the place where God wanted me at, and this is where He said, I'm gonna show you my love for you. And I think we're talking about it in Bible study today that God just blesses even when we don't deserve it, and that's what He's done for me. I don't deserve nothing. I really don't deserve anything. I do deserve death for sure. Or I deserve to be in those walls back there. But by the grace of God, He saved me from all that. And, now today I'm working and got a nice house, got nice friends. I think most of you guys are my friends, I think.
That where the Super Bowl party is?
That's what the Super Bowl party is. Yeah, but that's kind of my story in a nutshell. Sorry it wasn't that great, but
you said it real, man.
Yeah. I mean, there's more to it. I don't want to.
You filtered it.
Yeah, I filtered it a lot. Yeah. A little nervous. But yeah, I just want to let anybody know that if they're struggling out there on the streets and they want to give up, don't give up. God's there. And He will provide. I think it's Jehovah Jireh, and God provides. He does. He loves us so much, and He wants the best for us. He doesn't want to see us hurting. Yes. But that's my story. What has God made to you?
What has God made to you?
God means everything to me. He's the love of my life. I can't do nothing without God. I'm nothing without God. Without God, I'll be back out there on the streets trying to pick myself up like a slug. You ever seen a slug? That was me, slug. Couldn't walk, couldn't do nothing without the Lord. Well, that's it. That's all that.
Pray with you. I'm going to pray with you. Father in heaven, Father in heaven, I want to thank you for David and for the blessing he's been to our church. I want to thank you for his heart for others and for all those that he's brought and for all those that he's spoken well of you and on others' behalf. Father, I pray that he would continue to be a blessing, that he would continue to reach out to those around him. I pray that you would strengthen him in his walk. And I pray that you would let these words that he's spoken sink down into our hearts, and that we would realize our own need, and that we would turn to you in our own difficulties and trials, and our own mistakes, and our own failures, and that we would seek you as he has sought you, that we would find you, and that we would find hope and find change as David has found change. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Thanks, David.
Yep.